Goldman Sachs, BNP Paribas, and the DTCC are all connected to the same blockchain, and it's sitting at rank 21 with a market cap most people would laugh at. That blockchain is Canton Network. And the reason the price hasn't exploded yet isn't because institutions don't care. It's because retail doesn't know, yet. Let me put this in perspective. The DTCC, the Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation, processes somewhere north of $2 quadrillion in securities transactions every single year. That's not a typo, quadrillion. They are, for all practical purposes, the central nervous system of American financial markets. And they've been actively working with Canton-compatible infrastructure as part of their tokenization roadmap. When that organization moves in any direction, it's not a bet, it's a preview. So why is CC still flying under the radar? Because this isn't a meme coin. There's no influencer pumping it. There's no dog mascot. This is enterprise infrastructure. The kind of thing that takes 18 months to build, another 18 months to integrate, and then one day the price gaps up 400% and everyone pretends they saw it coming. I want you to be the person who actually did. Let's talk about what Canton actually is, because the marketing language can make it sound abstract. Most blockchains, including Ethereum, were built with a public-first mindset. Everything on-chain is visible to everyone. That's great for DeFi and NFTs. It is an absolute non-starter for institutional finance. A hedge fund is not going to put its derivatives book on a public ledger where every competitor can front-run them. A bank is not going to settle repo agreements in a place where transaction data is exposed to the world. That's not a preference. It's a regulatory and competitive impossibility. Canton solved this. It's a privacy-first, interoperable blockchain built from the ground up for regulated financial markets. The core technology, called DAML, lets institutions run smart contracts that are legally sound, privacy-preserving, and can talk to each other across different institutions without exposing underlying data. Think of it like this. Imagine every major bank has its own private room, but Canton is the hallway that connects them all. They can transact, settle, and clear with each other without anyone seeing inside anyone else's room. That's the breakthrough. The assets we're talking about tokenizing here aren't JPEGs. We're talking about tokenized treasuries, tokenized equities, repo agreements, fund AVs, derivative settlements. The total addressable market is genuinely measured in the hundreds of trillions of dollars. Canton isn't trying to eat DeFi's lunch. It's going after a market that's 1,000 times bigger. Now let's talk numbers, because that's why you're here. If you're finding this useful, subscribe to Crypto Sayans. We break down moves like this before they go mainstream. CC is currently sitting around rank 21 on CoinGecko. At that position, you've got a relatively small market cap relative to what the project is actually building. For context, compare this to Chainlink, a project that also positioned itself as institutional-grade infrastructure. Link spent years in obscurity before its price went from under $1 to $50 during the 2021 cycle. The catalyst? Institutional partnerships became undeniable. The pattern here rhymes. Here's the realistic scenario for Canton in 2026. If even one major clearinghouse, and the DTCC relationship is real and documented, goes live with a Canton-based settlement system, the narrative shift will be violent. We're not talking about a 20% pump. We're talking about the kind of repricing that happens when the market suddenly understands what it's been ignoring. Price targets floating around serious crypto research circles are putting CC in ranges that would represent 5x to 15x from current levels if adoption milestones hit before end of 2026. That's not guaranteed. But it's not fantasy either. It's math applied to market cap relative to addressable market and comparable infrastructure plays. The smart money signal to watch: institutional wallet accumulation and any public statements from TCC, Goldman, or BNP Paribas that specifically name Canton infrastructure going live. That's when the window closes for retail. Now, the risk, and I'm going to be straight with you here because this is your money. The biggest risk with Canton is the same risk that kills every institutional blockchain play: timeline. These partnerships move at the speed of legal review, regulatory approval, and executive sign-off cycles. Something that looks like it should launch in Q1 2025 can slide to Q3 2026 for reasons that have nothing to do with the technology. If institutional adoption timelines slip, CC could underperform the broader market for another 12 to 18 months while everything else runs. That's brutal to sit through. There's also competitive risk. Chainlink's CCIP, Stellar, and even Ethereum's enterprise layer are all fighting for the same institutional contracts. Canton has a structural privacy advantage, but it's not the only player at the table. And if a major competitor lands the DTCC contract outright, the thesis takes a significant hit. Finally, liquidity. Rank 21 sounds comfortable, but if you're trying to take a meaningful position and then exit fast, lower liquidity coins can gap down hard when sentiment shifts. Size your position accordingly. So here's the verdict. Canton is one of the most legitimately interesting infrastructure plays in the top 25 right now. Not because of hype, because of who's actually building on it and what market they're going after. The DTCC connection alone should make every serious crypto investor do more than a 10-minute skim. This is not a lottery ticket. It's a thesis with real institutional backing, real technology, and a timeline that's starting to compress toward actual deployment. Watch it, research it, and if the on-chain accumulation data and institutional announcements keep stacking up the way they have been, it belongs in your portfolio before the mainstream catches on. Subscribe to Crypto Sayans. We post breakdowns like this every week, so you never miss a move before it goes mainstream. Hit the bell, because the next one might be the one you really can't afford to miss.